The static soon flashed again, and her hair was back to normal. Is this actually how she sees the world, or is that just this route? Because that's freaking wild. No wonder why she's so freaking, like, emotionless all the time. She's just become callous. Yo, what the frick? Ayase's fingers started undoing my jacket buttons one by one. What the frick? Huh? I want you. No, not again! Gross. How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Chaos Head Noah. And last time, we got kissed in a closet. That's pretty much one of the first things that happened, so that we could hide from Hazuki. And yeah, Ayase pushed us in the closet, and it was weird, and it didn't have to be weird. It could have been kind of cute or wholesome, but nope. Nope, it kept getting weirder, and it didn't need to be. As per usual, I don't know why I ever expect anything different from this game at this point. But after that, we've been going around trying to collect D-swords. We found Dead Bon, and I think knocked out Yua and absorbed Yua's sword. Then we went to Kozapi and freaking Senna to get their swords after we saw, like, their freaking... well, that's also part of it too, right? So when we were getting their swords, prior to that, actually walking to their place, out in all of the rubble and all the crap that's happening, Takumi is like, he got like this shock or something, this like head pain again while he was up on the roof. And ever since then, oh yeah, because we saw like a flash in the sky, that's right. And with that flash, we started seeing like where we were warping in and out of two different realities. One reality where like one guy would be like trying to save people, and then in the other reality, he would be trying to kill people, that same person. So it's like, so when we were seeing Senna and Kozapi, they were trying to kill us, and then they were like freaking vegetables on the floor, and it kept going back and forth. So we got their swords, and now we're trying to get our own sword, I believe, was the last one to complete the giant Megazord sword we're trying to make or whatever. So with that, let's just get into this, shall we? We left Senna and Kozapi as they were. I wanted to help them, but I really didn't have the strength to do so. And Ayase just didn't care in the slightest. We made our way back toward Shibuya Station. On the way, we saw countless wounded people on the ground, and just as many dead bodies lying around. Ayase looked up to the sky with her usual distant expression. Trying to stave off my nausea, I asked her a question. What sort of ending are you aiming for here, Ayase? Oh yeah, that's another thing. He kept asking like what her ending was or whatever, what she was trying to get toward, and she never would tell us, so. Ending? Beamy was missing in action. Senna and Kozapi had both had their minds broken. Ayase had already taken the D-swords from all the Gigalomaniac girls. Or maybe stolen would be more appropriate. She'd had to have orchestrated all of it. How could she not have? There was no way she'd just happened to find a bunch of out-for-the-count, mind-broken Gigalomaniacs that all had their D-swords out. There was just no way. Well, I mean, if the first ending was anything to go off of, then all those situations did technically happen. We were there to save them on, well, at least Senna and Kozapi we were there to save. Technically, Ayase was there to save Yua, so if Yua got knocked out, then, you know, Ayase and Takumi weren't in the places that they needed to be to not let them get screwed up, so, you know, technically it would have happened that way. If she was behind it all, then the earthquake was also her doing, and Gladiole was just a legend she'd made up. Can you say for sure that this earthquake isn't your delusion? You wanted this to happen, didn't you? I wonder. That's right, so again, too, so Ayase may or may not have made this delusion her reality that she has about Gladio and the Black Knights, and may have made all this happen, or made all of this happen in this particular route. So that's a thing as well that we don't know. Why would you wish for this? Do not rush to conclusions, Takumi. All of this was foretold by Ziegler. I only happen to know of it. That is all there is to it. But that Gladio book has to be a delusion. That book doesn't exist anywhere else. But you saw it, Takumi. In my hospital room. Yeah, I saw it, but it was completely blank. You were merely unable to read it, Takumi. Yo, dude, definitely leaning into the chunnibyou thing, okay? There's no way it's that simple. You have to be lying. You can't fool me. There are 6.7 billion worlds. As many as there are people. What can be seen in each one differs from world to world. No two can ever be identical. So neither can yours and mine. If that's true, then link me your sources. But you can't! Can you? Ayase stared at me, then furrowed her brow. She seemed a little perplexed. It was almost like she was forcing herself not to show any emotion. Do you wish to see it? The world that I see? If that's possible, then yeah. Though I doubt I'd believe what you'd show me anyway. You misunderstand, Takumi. You can already see my world. This is giving me like hints back to Steins Gate, which technically came after this game, but I feel like they had that kind of a thing too of seeing, like, again, with the whole, like, Okabe seeing like the entire world from his perspective, right? And then talking about the idea of like, you know, time only matters from each individual person's perspective. That's almost like, it seems like that idea was a branch from this idea of, do you want to see the world that I see? You know what I mean? That's kind of interesting. Nice little, I don't know if you'd call that like a tie-in, crossover, parallel, whatever you want to call it, but kind of cool. Little by little, you are beginning to synchronize with it. What are... Oh, that's what we've been seeing. We've been seeing the way she sees the world? What the frick? That's what that meant? Oh, no. The world rusted over once more. Those collapsed on the ground were engulfed by black miasmata. I could see the head of a child crushed by the debris poking out through the cracks, and a man who was probably their dad trying to save them. Static rang in my ears again. And then, in an action that was incomprehensible to me, the dad stomped on the child's head. Their head split open like a watermelon and was subsequently crushed by their father's foot. Blood and gray matter splashed onto the ground. Ew! The static came again. The child's head was now completely intact. I could hear their dad cry out to them, "Hold on! I'll get you out of there!" Yo, what the frick? Static. The child had escaped from beneath the rubble, and now they were stabbing their father over and over again with a knife. "You're freaking useless, you old man," they jeered. A young couple were sitting in a somewhat remote spot. The two were under the same blanket. huddled right next to each other. When the static came again, it engulfed the two of them, and the man began to rape her. What the frick? Her screams echoed loudly throughout the city. But the screams stopped with more sounds of static, and the two were back together as if nothing had happened. Two middle-aged women were limping down the road. They were likely sisters. Static flashed, and one of them grabbed the other by the hair in an instant. She then began to yank on it in an attempt to uproot it completely. And with the fierce sound of tearing, she mostly succeeded. Yo, what the heck, man? The static soon flashed again, and her hair was back to normal. Is this actually how she sees the world, or is that just this route? Because that's freaking wild. No wonder why she's so freaking, like, emotionless all the time. She's just become callous. Yo, what the frick? What the heck is this? It is my world. It was her world? It wasn't my delusion, but Ayase's? Wait, was it even a delusion? Or was it reality? A black miasma was hovering over Ayase's chest too. But really, I didn't want to see any of them anymore, so I instinctively looked away. What color is the sky you normally see, Takumi? What do you mean, what color? It's blue. Is that blue? Oh, yeah. Ayase pointed up to the sky. It was a shade of red. Interesting, too, because I feel like, wasn't the sky red at the ending of Steins Gate Zero, I believe? When Okabe is, like, stepping directly back into being Haoin Kiyoma in front of all the freaking military people or whatever, or in front of Leskinen, I think is what it was. That's when he was doing that. I think that happened then, didn't it? I just know there was a lot of sky stuff in Steins Gate too, so there's like a motif with that as well, which is interesting. That's vermilion. Vermilion? So that color is not blue? Ask anyone, and they'd tell you that it's not. Anyone with common sense, that is. But to me, that color is blue. What? What was she saying? Takumi, can you explain to me? What sort of color is blue? Oh yeah, we're getting existential now, baby. Can't describe a color by itself, so how do you describe it, yo? It's a cooler tone. Yo. I don't know. It's the color of the sky. But that is the only color I've ever seen in the sky. But everyone knows what kind of color blue is. I do not. Please explain it to me. Without an example this time. What sort of color is blue? Without an example? But how was I supposed to... I tried thinking of a way to explain it, but I came up empty-handed. I just couldn't come up with a way to describe the color blue. Upon noticing my complete loss for words, Ayase gave me a sad smile. I told you. There are 6.7 billion worlds. Meaning there are 6.7 billion ways of seeing what color the sky is. You cannot assume that everyone sees things the same way you do. Yeah, that's an age-old existential concept, you know? That's interesting they brought that in. The scenery went back to normal. This color was my world's. Ayase, do you... always see the world like that? Ayase gave a slight nod. Aw. Ever since the day I was born, I thought that was just how things were, how the world was structured. But I suppose I was wrong. Something I only learned when you told me, Takumi. What's that black miasma? A wicked heart. Everyone has one, as long as they are human. Gladio feeds upon those wicked hearts in order to manifest. Did you see them? The negative delusions of man? Wait, was the static causing negative delusions to bubble to the surface? Was that why I'd been seeing all that inhuman savagery? I have always seen them. I am sure all Black Knights can, to varying degrees. They are home to nothing but true malice, pure, unadulterated desire. Had Ayase been seeing a world like that ever since she was born? Takumi. The ending I wish for is one where we break our souls free from this corroded world. Yo, aw, that's sad. And to do that, we must overthrow Gladio. Ayase moved closer to me. So please, find it. You are our only hope, Takumi. Please, find your D-sword. I can't. Unable to bear it any longer, I pushed Ayase away by her shoulders. Ayase's eyes opened wide in shock. Why? Are you giving up? I'm not this amazing person you think that I am, Ayase. No matter how much I want it, how much I wish for it, it doesn't feel like I'm even close to getting a D-sword. It was the same back at O-Front. And it stayed the same, even after the earthquake. I can't figure out how to do it. So I know that I can't. And won't get a D-sword. I never will. I have no faith in myself. Then why did you save me? Ayase drew even closer. I took a step back, trying to stay away from her. What do you mean, saved you? When I leapt from the school rooftop, you gave birth to a world where there was a flower bed. And that is why I could not ascend my spirit to a higher stage. That was a fluke. I hadn't done it intentionally. But I am fine with that. Because of what you did, I learned of your power. From that moment on, you became my only hope. Please, don't place all of your hope in someone on a whim. Please, stop expecting anything from me. Takumi, you mustn't degrade yourself so. That is merely the wicked-hearted king's invasion of your mental space. You cannot and must not let him win. You are powerful. Truly. Come what may, you will obtain your D-sword. I know you will. I told you. It's impossible. I can't. Before, I had thought that I might as well just stick with Ayase. I had no one else that could have protected me after all. But the more time we spent together, it became very clear to me. I couldn't understand how Ayase thought at all. The difference in how our minds perceived the world around us was just too great. And if I was being honest, I was fed up with how freaking bat-crap insane she was. She was a complete mental case, through and through. I really am a horrible person. And I've always been that way. I've never changed. How could you say that? Ayase clung to me, tears welling in her eyes. It wasn't the calm, aloof Ayase I was used to. I do not want to stay in a world like this any longer. Please, set me free. You are my only hope. You must awaken as a Black Knight. I can't. Yes, you can! Oh, I thought she was gonna smack him. Oh no! I synchronized with her world once again. A black miasma poured out of Ayase's chest and entwined itself around my body. It slithered around the top of my skin, like an anaconda slowly strangling its prey to death. Its repulsive, chilling presence was enough to give me goosebumps. It was Ayase's pure, unadulterated desire. I, just like any other person, wasn't used to seeing people's naked emotions. A flash of static. You are my hope. Ayase stared at me. Her eyes dyed pitch black. Ew. I will not let you go. You will stay with me, no matter what I must do to meet that end. Ayase's fingers started undoing my jacket buttons, one by one. What the frig? Huh? I want you. No, not again! Why? Dude, in Rust World, man? In Rust World where people are going insane right now? Are you kidding me? She was as close as could possibly be. Just like at the time we'd made out in the hospital room closet. I was like a deer in the headlights. I couldn't move. Once she finished undoing all my buttons, my chest was exposed. But she didn't stop. She moved down, took off my belt, and unzipped my pants. I want your power. Dude, what emo freaking delusion is this, yo? Ayase's ice-cold fingertips caressed my chest. And then... Get me out. Her nails dug into me. The pain was so intense, and yet... I still couldn't move an inch. I want it. Her fingers gouged out my flesh. They raked their way to my bones. Her hand reached deep inside, then gently embraced my pounding heart. I was trembling, out of fear, out of pain, out of the cool sensation of Ayase's fingertips. It's so warm. May I have it? Ew! I could feel my blood vessels exploding. Copious amounts of blood spilled from my chest. She took it out. My heart! She... The world switched colors in an instant. It'd gone back to its original dull color. The rust had vanished, and I was completely unharmed. I put my hand on my chest. Thankfully, I could feel it beating. My heart was still there. Ayase was standing in front of me, clutching herself with both arms. She looked so incredibly sad, like she was about to burst into tears at any moment. There it was again. The same look as when she had taken Yua's D-sword. The same as when I had first seen her world back at the Scramble Crossing. The same as when she had obtained Senna's and Kozupi's D-swords. Ayase looked at me on the verge of tears, doing everything she could to hold them back. Takumi. I didn't mean to do that. My wicked heart spiraled out of control, as did I. Perhaps because I took in too many D-swords. I am descending into madness, brought forth by the wicked-hearted king's erosion of my mind. Wasn't it all just another one of her delusions? Wasn't it all just fake words meant to trick me? Those thoughts suddenly came to mind, but I didn't say them out loud. I just couldn't. Ayase was a girl who rarely showed any emotion, with her unwavering tone giving her clear command of any conversation she ever had. That was why it was so hard to see her like this. I had never seen her so sad before. She looked so fragile, like she could fall apart at even the slightest touch. Because of that, I knew that I couldn't tell her what I was really thinking. What should I do? When those words left my lips, the slightest of tears began to flow from the corners of her eyes. She looked at me with a gaze that showed how much she truly needed me. I am being subjugated by the wicked-hearted king. If nothing is done, I will not be able to remain conscious. Therefore, excise it. Excise the impurity, the erosion of my wicked heart. Excise it? How? You saw my world, did you not? That black miasma. It is the manifestation of the impurity dwelling within people's wicked hearts. Their true malice. Grasp that and uproot it from my body. There was no way. I could never do something so horrifying. Please, Takumi. I want to be myself. Please. Rescue me from my world. Losing her balance, Ayase fell to the ground. Her figure was as frail as could be. But we had made a promise to each other, one she had said herself. I will protect you, so please, protect me as well. Yo. Senna and Kozupi had already been broken, and Dimi was nowhere to be found. I didn't want to lose Ayase, too. There was an element of selfishness to it. But most of all, I wanted to help her. I was fully aware that it wasn't within my ability to do so. But still, even if Ayase really was some crazy, hopelessly schizo girl, even if all of this was just her delusion, I wanted to help her with all my heart. Oh boy. But, right as I realized that sentiment, the world turned to rust yet again. The snake-shaped black miasma pouring out of Ayase's chest reared its head. Just looking at it made me feel sick. It felt like something was pressing down on my chest, and I couldn't look away. But even if I could, it wouldn't change anything. That's why. I knew I had to try and face it head-on. But I couldn't bear it. It felt like my chest was being crushed. My migraine was splitting my head apart. I couldn't do it. I never could have. I didn't have the strength to help anyone. Takumi. I looked up in response to Ayase's call. She held her hand out to me. Her tear-filled eyes locked with mine. Come. Do as you wish with me. She showed complete trust in me. Or perhaps she was depending on me? I'd never had someone depend on me before. My mind was about to crumble, but Ayase's voice just barely managed to keep it together. I bit my lip, and then I took a single step toward Ayase. With me as its new prey, Ayase's black miasma moved toward me and entwined itself around my neck. It was so cold, it nearly tricked my mind into thinking it was hot. It eased me into its embrace, but all the while it was gently strangling me to death. Ayase leaned against me. Her body had gone completely limp. I was forced to support her entire body weight. Oh no. Takumi. I tightly embraced her slender hips. Are you really sure about this? I am. With a gulp, I reached my hand toward the black miasma pouring out of her chest. Following only an ephemeral moment, the miasma changed form into that of a black leech, an act that only served to make it all the more repulsive. That was Ayase's wicked heart, laid bare, the most hideous part of herself that she didn't want anyone else to see. That was what the mass was. Gross! I took hold of the leech's body. It was extremely slippery, and it was so cold it stung at my palm. I wanted to let go the second I grabbed it, but in a desperate attempt to hold on, I clenched my teeth and endured it. Ayase groaned in pain, her face a horrid mixture of ecstasy and agony. Pull it out! Take it out! I tried pulling with all my might, but I could feel her flesh being torn apart. Black liquid burst from her chest, covering her body from head to toe. Whether it was blood or something else, I didn't know. Despite all this, I pressed on, pulling on the leech as hard as I could. Are you okay? Unable to take her screams any longer, I stopped my hands in place, hands atop which Ayase had placed her own. Do not stop. It is working. Even though her body was drenched in sweat, Ayase firmly reassured me. Dude, what the heck? I couldn't hesitate again. If I did, I'd only be torturing her. Come out! Using every ounce of strength I had, I grasped the leech and pulled it out. Ayase's body twisted and writhed. The leech slithered around. It was a lot longer than I thought it would be. Yo, what the frick, bro? The leech curled into a circular mass, then wrapped itself around my arm. It tightened hard against my fist. I guess it was the Wicked Heart's last stand. I clenched my teeth to endure the pain. I was glad that I'd gotten it off of Ayase at least, but I wasn't sure what to do with it now. Pray. Having entrusted her entire body to me, Ayase gently caressed my cheek. And by your hand, the impure wicked heart shall be reborn into one of the purest wickedness. The black wicked heart wriggling on my arm suddenly shone violet. A sound burst forth from it. A sound so shrill it was akin to the loudest of screams. Oh! His D-sword! The wicked heart turned into a sword. Is this a D-sword? I'd wanted one so bad, but I'd never been able to get one no matter how hard I tried. But now, it was finally in my grasp. Ayase's wicked heart had transformed into a D-sword. You have finally awakened, Takumi. Even amid her intense pain, Ayase smiled in my arms. Sweat ran down her brow profusely, adhering her bangs to her forehead. Thank you so much for awakening. What had I done to deserve her gratitude? I didn't know. I had no faith in myself. Takumi. Ayase draped her hands around my neck, and then she tightly embraced me. You are the only one to ever listen to me. I am overjoyed. Truly overjoyed. Ayase's body was really warm. The black liquid on her chest was slowly turning red. Her blood stained my clothes. But I didn't care. I held Ayase tightly in acceptance. She still had trouble breathing. I could feel her back tremble with each breath. The smell of her sweat rose in the air. Even that part of her was as lovely as the rest. I love you. Has Ayase fallen in love with me? I may or may not depend on her, but I know she depends on me. So, I don't think a relationship like this will be too bad. Just the two of us. Dude. I'm like speechless right now. I don't even know what to say. Suddenly, the sky behind Ayase's shoulders caught my attention. It was changing from vermilion to black. But only in a single spot. Or perhaps it was merely an illusion, and in reality, the spot was just a star. Nonetheless, the spot gradually grew bigger. If it continued at such a speed, it would soon blanket the entire sky. What is happening? What is that? I mumbled that to myself, completely dumbfounded. Also noticing the unnatural phenomenon, Ayase quickly stood back up, using my shoulders to help herself do so. That is the awakened wicked-hearted king. His invasion has finally begun. In the end, was I too late? Can I do nothing to stop it? That I cannot accept. Yo. Ayase brought forth her D-sword, materializing it from empty space. I'm trying to figure out what they were trying to do with that, you know? So her heart was his sword, so it's like this kind of romantic thing, but I feel like it goes deeper than that. Like, I feel like there's some poetry going on, but I can't figure out what it's saying yet. Dude, that was kind of cool, though, I'm not gonna lie. What are you planning to do? What was written in the Gladio Book of Psalms and Revelation? Once the 7 D-swords are gathered, the colossal serpent of darkness shall appear. Oh, is that what he used to fight off Norose in the first ending? Interesting. It is the embodiment of the purity of wicked hearts. A one wicked heart capable of slaughtering another. A being that can devour the corrosion, shatter the wicked-hearted king's body, and instill heterogeneity in its homogeneity. We must make the colossal serpent appear, so that it may overthrow Gladio. Ayase was still trembling, and yet she readied her D-sword all the same, and closed her eyes the very next moment. It almost seemed like she was meditating. Yo. But even after waiting a moment, nothing happened. Meanwhile, the sky had fully turned to black. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought it was nighttime. But no, the sun hadn't set. It was the black miasmata, amalgamated into a mist that was spreading across Shibuya. Transforming into a wave, it sought to drown the city in wicked hearts. It slowly crept over the rubble-filled earth, painting every inch it touched black. Silently, it eroded. It swept over our feet. A croak of despair came from my mouth. The corroded world was now rotting away. It decomposed, crumbled, and then it all returned to nothing. People, corpses, and debris alike. Everything slowly melted together, and from the amalgam came an overpowering rotten stench. Ayase! Can't you do something? Why? Ayase wasn't responding to me. She simply stared at the D-sword she held in her hand, her eyes on the verge of tears. We collected all 7 D-swords, so why does it not appear? If left unabated, Gladio will swallow the world whole. Did I truly have to gather all 7 Black Knights themselves? Oh, dude, no! I must have had to follow the prophecy precisely, and I failed. The black wave was growing even faster than before. It had only been up to my ankles a few seconds ago, but now it was already up to my knees. Dude, oh, so that's what the true ending's gonna be, all of them working together, right? So that's what it's building up to. So this time she tried to just get the swords, but she needs all of them. Oh, dang. Strangely enough, I felt some resistance to the flow of it. Did it actually have physical substance? Was it really not just a simple illusion? Filled with horror, a shiver ran down my spine. Shibuya was actually going to rot away. Ayase, just come up with a delusion. A delusion that'll defeat Gladio. Unable to hold it in any longer, I screamed at her, but Ayase just shook her head. The books of Gladio are not my delusion. Even then, it should be possible for you, or even me, to just distort the prophecy, come up with a new delusion, and make it into reality. Right? Isn't that what gigalomaniacs, I mean, Black Knights do? But, Takumi... Ayase stared my way, her gaze pleading with me. I do not know what to do. Oh, frick. Oh no! I was at a loss for words. The world was covered by the black miasma. The sky was pitch black, blocking out any and all light. Not even a single star remained. The black wave was already up to my hips. It felt like I was going to be washed away by its current any second now. It took everything I had to stay standing. A corpse beside me melted into the liquid, and was then swept away by the churning waters. If I let it swallow me up, that was exactly what would happen to me too. The mere thought terrified me so much I wanted to scream at the top of my lungs. What do I do? What the heck do I do? I desperately tried to think of a solution, but I couldn't come up with any. I was no hero. I was just an otaku freak. And even though I'd finally gotten a D-sword, I had no idea how to use it. So that had ended up being just as useless as me. Everyone would be better off if I just died. I should just get impaled by a bunch of stakes and bleed out, like in the crucifixion case. But right when I thought that, I suddenly remembered something. The songs Fess had written. Their lyrics. Oh, dude. Sing a song. Despite how it might have sounded, it wasn't something I'd come up with as a last resort. No. I was convinced that it was the best, and also only, solution I could have ever come up with. Your songs are how you share your delusions with the world, Ayase. And the world she spun with them captivated the youth of Shibuya. The Gladiol saga was a legend of dubious authenticity that might or might not have been true. It could have all just been Ayase's delusion, and she was the only one who had any knowledge of it. But it didn't matter. That legend had been spread to the youth of Shibuya through Phantasm's songs. Therefore, mutual recognition had already been achieved. Yo, that's kind of cool. I like that. Okay. Cool. So, sing your heart out. Sing a song to overthrow Gladiol, Fess. You're telling me to sing? Right now? Didn't you say that guidance appears through song or something? Yes, I did say that. Yeah. And then, I came to meet you at that concert, Takumi. Takumi. Ayase extended her hand to me. I took her hand in my own and squeezed it tightly. Do you like my songs, Takumi? Yeah. I'd listened to the album I'd bought from that concert many times. I'd left the concert early due to my fear of crowds, but she made me want to try again. And again. And again. However many times it would take. Seeing me nod along, Ayase smiled blissfully. Well, if your words are true, then I am not bothered by the idea of perishing here. I will sing. Listen well, Takumi. Ayase closed her eyes, took a few moments to focus, before finally letting out a deep breath. Then, she opened her eyes. She was no longer Ayase anymore. She was Fess from Phantasm. A contract of blood to seal our sin. She quietly murmured the song's name, and then she burst into song. Her voice reverberated toward the pitch-black sky. Strike the stake, strike the stake. Rend the dark night and bathe in moonlight. Thousands of iron hammers become thy pain,
Now thou art released. Before long the screams flutter in the air, and the night sky is dyed a brilliant red. The cross stakes become your strength, and you'll soon reach salvation.
I can't really sing it because I don't really know what the tune is. The lyrics were a hint. Ayase, strike the stake. This song wasn't prophesying the crucifixion case at all. Combine the 7D swords and drive them into the dark night. There was no doubt in my mind. It was a song meant to overthrow Gladiol. A song to release Ayase from her world corroded by rust and red. Destroy your world, Ayase! Ayase stared at me. Her eyes burned with a fiery passion. Ayase looked her most beautiful when she was singing. Her energy had completely changed. The damsel in distress from before was nowhere to be seen. Ayase understood what I was trying to say, and, without saying a word, she nodded. I poured all my strength into our joined hands. And, while desperately fighting against the power of the black wave, I entrusted my D-sword to Ayase.
Yo, let's go! It's so anime!
The moment she grabbed it, it was engulfed in red light, and swiftly disappeared. But it hadn't been destroyed. As if it had been guided there, the red light was taken in by Ayase's D-sword. Once I knew that for sure, I let go of Ayase's hand.
Yo! Whoa, dude! Look at her!
Ayase unleashed her power as a black knight. An enormous burst of wind came forth, blasting the world with enough force to make everything around her tremble. The black wave was struck by that pressure, turning into a whirlpool. There wasn't a fragment of her usual indifference in her anymore. Ayase took a stance. She spread her legs, lowered her hips, and held her sword high. Her whole body was overflowing with not just strain, but a strong will. The will to look toward the future. She was just barely able to hold back her urge for pure destruction. She had to wait for the perfect opportunity to unleash it all. The red flicker of the sword grew faster. That sword is that which bends fate to its will. That sword is that which converges all sorrows. That sword is that which interferes with the transcendental place. Fueled by wicked hearts, designed to rend others, its edge was doubled. It was the manifestation for all the cries for salvation that arose from Ayase's soul. An embodiment of Ayase's chaotic heart.
It's so chunnibyou, dude!
Ayase's gaze was focused on a single point. The black heavens. The ones that shrouded my blue sky. The ones that shrouded Ayase's red sky. The sky born from all the impurity dwelling within wicked hearts. One that brought nothing but darkness to the world. The only thing I could do was pray. Would the Black Knight's triumph? Or would Gladiol prevail? Our fate was resting on Ayase's shoulders. And yet, for some inexplicable reason, I knew. Just as foretold in the legend Ayase had orchestrated, we would never lose to the wicked-hearted king. So Ayase, strike it. Strike it, and pierce through the world itself!
Open, O heaven's gate!
Yo.
Her entire body curved like a bow being drawn. And then, with all the strength vested in her, she cast her shot forth.
Yo! Whoa!
The sword carved a trail of light, blew away the darkness with a loud boom, and pierced through the vermilion heavens. It had completely penetrated it.
Yo!
The sky began to crack. It's so metal. The crack spread throughout the entire sky, and before long, accompanied by a flood of sound, the entire world shattered. Yo! Whoa, dude! That was crazy. Oh, that was it? Oh, it just ends like that, huh? What in the world? That's kind of goofy, but okay, wow, that was a crazy epic ending. So we don't know what happened to them afterward then. But that was like, I could tell that was like a little hint at what the true ending is gonna be. She's like, maybe I really did need all the knights because we're gonna need all 7 of us to like line up and fight against the delusions or whatever, right? Dude, oh my gosh, that was a cool ending. I like that ending. I love how they just completely went into the whole chunnibyou idea. They just totally went right through with it. You know, they didn't hold anything back. That was cool. Oh my gosh. Totally turned into like a freaking anime. like a traditional like shonen anime of like, we gotta save the world. I don't know. It was just like, it's so freaking punk. It's so funny. Perfectly fitted her though for her ending. It's cool that the sky turned blue too. That was pretty neat. I wonder if they'll have a little end credits thing or not. Let's see. Yeah? Anything? Oh, there is more. When I came to, the brilliant light had returned to the world. The sky was blue. The color that couldn't be put into words. And yet, I knew the sky I was looking at right now was most definitely blue. Gladio must have been overthrown, or at the very least, the black miasma plaguing the world had disappeared. And now, a warm, soft hand tightly clasped my own. Ayase was standing by my side, looking up to the exact same sky I was. Without saying a word, tears poured from her eyes. Aww. Aww.
To think, blue was such a beautiful color.
You can see it?
I can. I am seeing the same color in the sky as you, Takumi.
And what a clear color it was. So clear, I could feel it in my chest. So clear, it almost hurt to look at. Who knew that the sky above was so clear? Before now, I had never once realized. Shibuya was in shambles, transformed into a city of death. Not even a glimmer of its former glory was left in it. And yet, Ayase, appearing more dazzling than ever, looked fondly over it all.
I could never have imagined the world would be such a beautiful place.
And with those words, Ayase gently clasped my hand. Hey, yo! Dude, that one was nice! That was a nice ending. Oh my gosh. I liked that one. That was probably my favorite one so far. Yo! They keep getting better, I feel like. I don't know, I did like Yua's a lot though too, but like, I don't know, this one was just wholesome by the end. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a cool one though. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on in that. But I'm curious how that's gonna actually come into play for the actual ending though, like this whole spiritual aspect, you know, with this whole like Gladio books of Psalms and Revelation, or book of Psalms and Revelation. Like, I wonder if like both that and the whole like scientific element that Senna goes for, that she talks about, are gonna both be equally true in their own way. You know what I mean? I wonder if they're both gonna like combine or something. like a machine, like, because we already know that the machine made God, quote unquote, right? Like it created some monster that they're saying was like a god or something, right? So maybe there's something to that. So like the machine actually, something like that. So like the machine maybe created Gladiol or something. So like Gladiol is real, but only because the machine scientifically created it through the equation that Takumi had written, the function times or equals or whatever thing it was, IRS something or another. I wonder if that's how the mixture will be, but I have a feeling Senna's is going to be strictly based in the scientific realm though. So, but yeah, that was nice. That was pretty well rounded. It kind of ended a little abruptly, but kind of to be expected for these types of endings, right? Because it's not the true ending. So yeah, I guess with that, I guess we'll be going on to the next route, which I believe should be Kozue's ending. So I'm excited for that one. I like Kozue a lot. She's my favorite out of all the girls. So curious to see what that one will be, because, you know, her whole thing has been like looking into mirrors and saying like, who am I? Who am I? So I wonder if that's going to get addressed and figured out or something or what. But we don't really know a ton about Kozupi. You know what I mean? Other than that, she doesn't like talking out loud. She likes talking in her head to people. So I guess we'll see what that one's like. But until then, thank you all so much for watching. And I hope to see all of you ruffians in the next video. God bless, and peace.